Hey girl, let's talk. Navigating your 20s is hard, and I don't feel like we talk about it enough. A few weeks ago, I saw a creator make a video where she was talking about navigating her 20s and feeling like she was lost and just not on track in comparison to a lot of her peers. Navigating your 20s can be hard. We have an idea of what life after college or what our early to mid 20s is going to look like, and sometimes for some people, it might not look like that, and that's okay. Everyone is on a different journey that will look like different timing for when things may happen. So you may not have a high-rise condo or be able to buy a house a year after graduating college, but that doesn't mean that you're not on the right path that is for you and your timeline and what God has for you. After graduating college, it took me about 4 months to start a job. I lived at home with my mom and I was making $36,000 per year. I spent a lot of time in my 20s comparing where I was to where my peers were, who was making more money than me, who had bought a house before me, who was getting married, and all the things that were happening for people that just was not happening in my life. Instead of being able to be grateful and embrace where I was in that season of my 20s, I spent a lot of time just comparing and being sad and depressed. Comparison is very real, and you may have friends that you went to college with or people that you see on social media that are your same age, and maybe they're working a job making 80,000 or six figures. Maybe they are in a high-rise apartment or whatever that thing may be that you're comparing, but know that what is going to happen for you will happen for you in your right timing and in your right season. Just because it's not happening right now doesn't mean that it's never going to happen. It doesn't mean that you're stuck. It doesn't mean that God does not see you. It doesn't mean that you are going to be in that place forever. And as someone that literally would cry in bed because I didn't want to go to work and I hated where I was in life, I understand. I see you, and know that you will look back in some years and just be thankful for the season that you were in.
If you're not where you want to be right now, just know that is okay. I literally just got back from a meeting and it had undergrad and grad students in it, and this girl was talking to me about how at 25 she feels like she should be wherever she desires to be, and she's like 19. And I'm turning 25 literally this month. I used to think that by 25 my life's gonna be figured out, maybe even by 23. It's just not my reality. Literally at 25 I'm back in school. My career is not where it should be, where I thought it would be, and that's okay.
You know how when you're in your 20s, a lot of the time you feel like I'm behind, I need to be here, I need to have
my job figured out.
I have to have my job figured out. If you put it into perspective, and let's just say your 20s are your first years as an adult, right? You're 24.
Okay, so I'm 4.
So you're 4 in your adult
I
years.
see.
So
okay.
Don't put so much pressure to have everything figured out if you're only
a 4-year-old.
4 years old in adult years. I shouldn't also expect everything to happen all at once. The opportunity is there for you because you're ready. You're saying you can't. That's just your own insecurity.
It's not about that I don't care. I just don't want to care as much.
I know. That's
I just
want to
do things for me.
I think we all need to have a subtle reminder that don't be so hard on yourself and do the things you want to do.
Hey everyone, it's Babe. Welcome back to my channel. I'm back on another video, and I'm here with the video that I meant to make back in October, but I've had a lot going on, been really busy, and I also had some other videos that I filmed that kind of took priority over this video. But now I'm here in the middle of November with this video to talk about me turning 24 and how I feel about that. You know, whenever you have a birthday, you get the big question of, oh, are you excited to turn this age? Are you, looking forward to it? How do you feel? And so I kind of wanted to talk about that in this video. Now, fun fact, this is my second time filming this video. I filmed this video literally right before this, and I didn't like how it turned out. So I'm going to attempt to film this video again in a more cohesive way. So first I want to start off with the positives, right? In terms of how I feel about 23 and how that went. So I'm not gonna lie, 23 started out pretty rough, but I honestly feel like I started to make up for it leading into 24. I feel like there was definitely a time period this year where there was just the switch that got turned on in my brain to say, okay, I gotta stop putting so much of myself and my energy into other people, and I need to start focusing on me. This time in my life should be about focusing on me, improving myself, doing what makes me happy, and putting myself first. I had spent my entire life putting other people first, thinking that would make me happy, thinking that by doing that it would, keep people around, and that by me overextending myself to make other people happy, that, it would make me happy, but it actually made me miserable.
I'm at the point in my life, I'm doing whatever the fuck I want to do. And that's just that on that. You mad? Cry about it. You sad? Cry about it. Makes you uncomfortable? Cry about it. I'm selfish? Cry about it. I got a man character complex? Boo-hoo, bitch. Cry about it. I don't care. I'm doing what I want to do. I'm just popping my shit all year, and after that, you hear me? Like, I don't have time to be worried about nothing or nobody that ain't me. And that's just that on that.
And so I feel like I spent the tail end of 23 really prioritizing myself. And I can honestly say that it paid off. And I actually started to see my life improve in the way that I had been wanting it to for the longest time. I finally started making genuine friendships. I finally started to do things outside of my comfort zone. And my anxiety started to subside. My depression started to subside. My overall just mental space started to improve drastically when I started putting myself first. And, I'm not gonna lie, when people would always say, like, if you focus on you, then things would happen, I never really understood what that meant for real. I've always been a very selfless person where I always put everybody else before me. And for a long time, I thought that's what you were supposed to do. Like, I thought that you're always supposed to put other people first and do for others before you do for yourself. And although it's okay to do that sometimes, doing that all the time is a disservice to yourself. And I think that that's something that I come to realize, especially this year, where I literally had to step back and go, oh, like, this is why I'm miserable. This is why my mental health has been in shambles for like a decade at this point, because I've spent so much time trying to make other people happy and catering to other people, and not even really living life for me, living life for other people, living life for the validation of other people, that it made me miserable. And so once I stopped doing that and once I started putting myself first, that's when things finally started to unfold. And that's when I finally started seeing the things that I had been begging and praying for so long, like genuine friendships, like overcoming my anxiety, overcoming my social anxiety, getting to experience new things and go to new places. Like, all these things that I had been dreaming of and wanting so much and almost felt intangible were finally starting to happen once I put myself first.
You're raised to think, oh, if I take care of everybody else, I'm a good person. You know what I mean? I put myself last. A lot of women are in my family, that's how we were raised, especially Latinos. Like, everybody comes before you. I'm last. I'll eat last. I'll get dressed last. I didn't even take a shower. It's fine.
Yeah.
That's how you're raised. And you come to the realization that, oh, it's not that. Like, I actually have to take care of myself so I can take care of everybody else better.
I am learning that I have to be full before I can give myself to others.
That's right.
And I'm finding it very important. My mental health is very important. And when you constantly feel like you have to please people and put others before you, you will start to feel very insecure. So I'm learning that it's okay to put myself first sometimes, and I will only give out love and only share love, and then just keep it at that.
If you put yourself first, you can have it all. The normal human being doesn't even think about stress because they put themselves secondary and they put money or their goals first. Why? Because that's their wiring. That's the wiring of society. When you awaken to your highest potential, you realize that if you put yourself first, you could have health, you could have the love of your life, and you could have the money that you've always deserved and wanted without stress or unnecessary workload.
Even with my YouTube channel, literally my goal for the year for this channel was to hit 5,000 subscribers. So the fact that I hit 15,000 subscribers, it literally went beyond anything that I imagined for myself. And so especially with that aspect, I feel like it exceeded my expectations. And so for me, right, going into 24, I've learned to appreciate where I am more. Not to say that I'm always perfect at it. I still have my moments where, you know, I get worried about the future, which I will talk about later on in this video. But I've been very intentional about practicing gratitude and being appreciative of the things that I have accomplished and where I am in the season, and just looking for things to be grateful for, even if I'm not exactly where I want it to be. And like I said, I am in a place now where I feel like I have like genuine people around me. I have genuine friendships. I have people that I can rely on. My social life has improved. Granted, even with that, like my social life improving did take some work on my end to, again, step outside of my comfort zone and even travel a little bit. But honestly, it was all worth it. And I'm happy that I've even gotten to a place where I'm getting a little bit more comfortable with that as well. And so yeah, right now I'm in a space where I am grateful for how my life is starting to slowly but surely improve. But there are still a lot of aspects that I didn't quite anticipate at this time, because although I'm grateful for where I am at 24, I'm still not where I would like to be. And yes, you shouldn't compare your life to other people. You know, different things happen for different people for different reasons. But I'm not gonna lie, I am currently in a space where it's hard not to compare, and it's hard to not feel like you're behind when you see everybody around you is so far ahead. Right now, like a lot of the people that are in my life are just people that I'm acquainted with that are around my age. A lot of them have full-time jobs, their own apartments, they're in loving relationships from what you can see from the outside looking in. Obviously, you know, no one knows anybody's relationship personally unless the person, like, you know, tells you what's going on in their relationship. But from the outside looking in, or even, yeah, with me talking to people personally, like, hey, how's your relationship going, and how they kind of describe their relationship to me, it seems like they are in very like healthy relationships for the most part. I'm seeing a lot of people get engaged this year in particular. I mean, almost everybody, not everybody I know, let me not say that, but a lot of people that I know, that I've interacted with, that I've had, you know, personal communication with, got engaged. Like, this was literally the year of engagements and weddings for the people that I know personally. And so just seeing all the engagements and new jobs and new places and new relationships, and then you have me that's at home, unemployed and single, it does kind of feel like, well, dang, like, yes, I'm 24, but what do I have to show for it?
Hear me out. 25 is a weird fucking age. I really hope this reaches everyone in their mid-20s so I can see if anyone relates to me and I'm not the only one alone feeling this way. So first, we have the people in their 20s that have found their soulmate, they're madly in love, they are getting married, they're having kids, they have a career that they're probably going to do for the next 30 to 40 years, and they know what their future is going to look like. And then we have the wonderful people like me that are in their mid-20s that are single and they're over dating because they've dated enough fucking weasels, so they're not going to lower their standards just to find another boyfriend or a husband. And they're celibate because fuck hookup culture. They know they want to have kids at some point, but that's not even something that's on their mind right now. And then they decided to go the path of being an entrepreneur at 21 and then start a second business, so they really don't know where their career path is going to take them. So then randomly they're like, wow, I literally have no idea what my future is going to bring me. Like, I have absolutely no fucking clue what's going to happen next month or next year or in the next 5 years. Like, I literally don't know. And while that scared me for like 0.2 seconds, I then realized, wow, that's actually the coolest thing ever, that I literally could have an entirely different life in a year from now. Like, seriously, even tonight, I could go on a walk with my dog and somehow meet like this man that I connect with and fall in love. Or tomorrow, all of a sudden, my business literally pops off and my life changes. So yeah, is there anyone else that feels this way and feels like being in their 20s is the weirdest fucking shit?
So I think this is why it was important for me to put my age, because for a long time, this getting an apartment has been such a goal of mine. And it was the last thing on my adult life list. Like, yes, I have a master's. Yes, I have a career path. I run a business. All these things. I have a son. I have all these things. It was like, but where you home? Well, I'm 33. I just got my first apartment. And what's for you will happen when it's your time. And this crazy part is that I applied for that apartment a year ago. Exactly a year ago before they hit me up. and I had to turn down 2 other apartments because I couldn't afford them. I live in New York City. And so what's for you will come for you. And I wanted to put that I was 33 just so that people knew that not everything has to happen while you're young. And we got to remember the fact that we spent some years in quarantine. So that's going to throw you off your timeline anyway. And you really should take it easy on your timeline. Just live your life.
Yeah, no, one of my friends from uni has just got engaged. Another one of my friends is moving in with her boyfriend. Another one's just been on holiday to Greece with her boyfriend. And I'm out here having never had a boyfriend and still living at home. And it is absolutely 100% a head fuck. And I can't give you any answers. All I can say is, like, for me, the most important thing is remembering that, like, I would rather enjoy my own company. Things will be hard, things will be difficult, but, like, I would rather that than settle and be with the wrong person. Because I, at least in my life, have seen a lot of bad relationships. I am probably the product of a very bad relationship, and I would never want that for myself. Or if I did settle and stick with it, I wouldn't want that for my kids. So, yeah, I don't know if that helps, but that's just how I think about it.
And it almost got to a point where I felt embarrassed for where I am in life, because it just seems like I'm so behind in compared to everybody else. And yes, again, I know that you shouldn't compare, but that's easier said than done. For the most part, I do pretty okay with just kind of focusing on me and what I got going on, but I'm human, and every now and again I do have my moments where I'm like, dang, like I wish I could be doing more. I wish I had more going for myself, because look at what everybody else is doing. And like I said, most of my friends and most of the people that I know, they have, they're in relationships, they're getting engaged, and they have new jobs. And even if they don't have all of those things, they'll have like at least one of those things going for themselves. So the fact that I don't have any of that going for myself, and these were things that I thought I would have at this time, it does get difficult to not compare and to not feel like, okay, well, what am I doing with my life? Like, yes, I'm 24, but what do I have to show for that? Like, what am I actually doing? What have I actually accomplished? And honestly, outside of getting my college degree, YouTube really is the biggest accomplishment that I've had in my life up to this point, because it really did feel like I had all these goals set for myself, but a lot of them just felt intangible. It felt like I just was never going to get those things. And every now and again, like, I will have those moments of like, okay, like, when are these things going to happen? And I've tried to be more intentional about being in the present moment and focusing on what I have going on now, because I think what had my mental health so, in shambles was me fixating on the past and the future and not the present. I was so fixated on, things that happened to me in the past, and me wanting to change things, or me wanting to fix things that happened, or, things that are going on in the future. Like, when are things going to happen for me? How long am I going to be in the season for? And I honestly getting scared about how long I would have to wait. And like I said, I know people say, like, we have all the time in the world, like, don't be in a rush, like, things are going to happen when they're going to happen. But also, in me being honest with myself, there are certain things that I just don't feel comfortable waiting a long amount of time for, like moving out, for instance. Like, I don't want to move out when I'm 35. And I think it's easy for people to say that while I'm 24, because I'm still technically in my early 20s, even though I'm approaching my mid 20s now. But I feel like it's easy for people to say, like, right now that, like, oh, like, you're fine, like, things will happen when it's gonna happen. But let's be for real. If I am 35 years old, so living at home, you're not gonna sit up here and tell me that people are gonna start looking at me like, okay, sis, like, what are you doing with your life? And I just don't want it to get to that point where I get to a certain age and people look at me like, okay, girl, like, you 20 something or you 30 something, and it's like, you should have something going on. Like, why do you still not have a job, or why are you still not moved out? Like, I don't want it to get to a point where people start looking down on me for where I am in my life. And I feel like that window, I'm running out of time. Like, I feel like I'm going to reach a certain age where people are going to be like, okay, girl, like, you are at this age. Why do you not have these things? And again, I try not to beat myself up over it, but it's hard. And like I said, it's hard when you see everybody else in your life progressing and reaching goals that you had set for yourself, but then you haven't reached those goals yet, and you have no way of knowing when that's going to happen. And so right now, going into 24, I am hoping that that I will reach at least one of my major goals going into 2024, but also I don't know.
Set your own goals and focus on the present. Goals that align with what you want to do, what makes you happy, and not external expectation. A lot of us are so focused on the future. What's coming next? What does my life look like 10 years from now? But the present plays so much into what your future looks like. If you're not happy now, you're having negative thoughts, you're not giving yourself self-compassion, who knows what you will look like in the future? So set goals that align with what makes you happy and not what those external expectations tell you to look like.
Y'all, this is a reminder to live like your freaking age. I always realize when I get stressed, it's because I'm trying to act like a freaking 30-year-old. Like, I do not have to have my life put together. I'm 23. Like, I need to chill. I need to be failing and to be learning. I need to just be thriving, being myself, and figuring out what I actually like to do, what I don't like to do. Why am I putting so much pressure on myself? I'm not 30 years old with a kid and a husband. Like, I don't have to settle down.
Okay, I've been anxious, and I'm going to tell you why you should stop being anxious. A lot of the advice that I give to my followers on all of my platforms is actually advice for myself. So today we're going to talk about why I should not be anxious. First of all, is it really going to help you to stress and worry about something that's in the future that has not happened yet? Because honestly, it looks more like I'm allowing negative energy to come into my life, and it's actually not contributing to anything productive. So instead of worrying about what's next, just worry about what's happening in the present moment. Live right now, because you don't get these moments back.
And I think also coming to terms with the fact that, you know, a lot of my upbringing and my childhood has affected my growth as well. Like, I also kind of feel behind in terms of like life experience, because a lot of my friends have experienced a lot of things like growing up that I'm just now getting exposed to. And I want to make a separate video about this as well, about how me being sheltered has also caused me to feel so behind in comparison to everybody else, because there's just so much that I haven't done and I haven't experienced that most people have by this point.
Have you ever felt like a late bloomer?
Of course, yeah. I feel like a late bloomer right now. Like, things just have kind of moved a little slower for me. Or like, even when you're like having conversations with your friends and you can't participate because you're like, I'd never experienced that.
I think it's the pressure that we put on ourselves and the pressure the society puts on us as well. Mm-hmm. Like, by the time I hit 30, of course I want to be accomplished and I want to achieve certain things. But why is it that we associate 30 to like needing to have certain things in place?
Marketing.
It's true. It is marketing.
It's the way things were just like marketed to us. Like, 30 became the magic number when Forbes started doing 30. I feel like when Forbes started doing 30 under 30. So you start to think, okay, these are like milestone years for me, but why can't 27 be it? Why can't 32 be? Like, these numbers just came out of nowhere.
Okay, I have a theory I want to run by you guys. Let me know if you understand what I mean by this. I think, especially so if you grew up in a really sheltered kind of environment, adulthood does not start until 30. And even when it starts at 30, there's still kind of like this introductory period where 30 years old represents like your freshman year. And then like 31 to 32 is like your sophomore year. 33 to 34 is like your junior year. And then like 34 is like your senior year, and like you should have your shit together for the most part. And I say this particularly for people who like grew up kind of like sheltered and protected, because like at 30, it starts to get like kind of weird if you're still getting like assistance, help, like your parents are still doing a lot of stuff for you. But I'm bringing this up to say that like I'm a senior now in adulthood, but I also lost 2.5 years in the pandemic.
I watched this video where this girl talks about how because she's experienced things later in life than most people her age, she feels younger than them. I feel like this rings especially true for people who haven't been in a relationship yet. At least it has for me as somebody who is 23 and hasn't had a boyfriend. And if you try to give me any excuses about how the dating pool sucks right now, how it's better to be single, how I have plenty of time, I should just be focusing on myself, I know that already. I honestly feel that way most of the time, but that doesn't take away from the fact that it is valid to be wanting partnership in a romantic connection with somebody, especially because of the way society is centered around romantic love. So when you haven't experienced that yet, it is so easy to feel like you are
missing out on something that people even younger than you have experienced already. Like, I'll see high schoolers in relationships and I'm like, how did you already do that? And it almost makes me feel like that inexperience when it comes to romantic relationships puts me behind them, even though like that's not even literally true. Maybe it's because I viewed relationships as like an adult thing because I wasn't allowed to date when I was younger. So getting into that first relationship would make me feel like I'm an adult. But I've already graduated from college, and that was supposed to be my biggest dating pool. I didn't get into a relationship then, which honestly, the lack of experience might have played a role in that too. Yeah, now I'm back home, and I don't know how to like even start or like meet people organically, because dating apps are a little scary. But what I'm trying to say is, if the next step in feeling like an adult is me getting into a relationship, I'm kind of scared because I just don't know when that will happen, and I guess I'll just feel like I'm younger forever.
I'm hoping that next year it's just more of that, like more of me having these new life experiences and meeting new people and just overall seeing my life improve in different areas. And also I want, to continue the path of focusing on my mental well-being as well. Like I said, I feel like I am at the most happiest and at peace that I've ever been. Yes, I still have my days. Yes, I still have my moments, but I don't have like those long periods of being in a funk. Well, at least not as often as I used to. I actually kind of just went through a funk, but I feel like I'm getting out of that funk now. But yeah, like even with that, like I want to start eating healthier. I want to start working out. I want to start reading again. Honestly, I haven't really like read books for enjoyment or for personal development in a really long time, like since I was a child. Because once I got to high school, I started taking a bunch of like, dual enrollment and AP classes. We're just being shoved a bunch of books at you like week after week. And so I had no time to read books for enjoyment. I literally had to read books for exams, quizzes, and tests. And like even like in college too, it's like when you have free time in college, you use that time to eat and sleep. You don't really have time for much when you're a full-time college student. And then of course adding on extracurricular activities or an internship and a job, it doesn't really allow a lot of time for you to just do stuff like for yourself. And so now that I technically have the time to put into that, I do want to dive into reading more books as well, and just overall just a lot of personal development and growth, and again just pouring into me, pouring into friendships and family. That is my main focus going into being 24 years old, is just continuing to improve in myself and seeing where that takes me, but also hopefully achieving one of my goals. And it's crazy because even with relationships, like up until this year, like finding a partner, finding a life partner and starting a family, that had always been at the top of my life goals, even beyond going to college and getting a degree. And no, I'm not saying that I would ever sacrifice getting my degree for a relationship, but in terms of like the things that were a priority to me and what I considered to be most important in life, it had always been that. It had always been finding a partner, starting a family was like at the top of my list, so much so that it affected me the most when I either didn't have those things or I felt like I wouldn't get those things. Like it actually affected me mentally, and it also made me overextend myself a lot to try and get that and preserve that. And so now it's the complete opposite, where that goal is like not even on my list anymore. Like getting married is no longer a life goal for me. It's something that I think would be nice to have, but it's not a priority. It's not something that I'm going to put energy towards. It's not something that I can see myself seeking out anymore. Because I think one thing that I realized this year is like the most important relationship that I will ever have is with myself. And so that should always be number one. That should always be my focus. And so so not to say that that I would reject the idea of marriage altogether, but I don't see myself putting energy towards it. It literally would just have to like happen and come to me and just happen organically. It's not something that I'm gonna go out of my way to try and get or to try to maintain, like, or not let me not say try to maintain. It's not something that I would risk my mental well-being for as I did in the past.
I just had
The saddest realization, okay, I want to be a young mom. So let's just say I want to have kids by 28, right? Which means I have to be pregnant by 27. But I want to have like 2 or 3 years alone with my hubby, right? Which would put me at 24. But I want to be married, which means I have to be engaged by 23. But I want to know the guy for at least 1 or 2 years, which puts me at 21. I'm going to turn 21 this year. Which means I have to find my husband this year.
Mindset has changed drastically going into 24. Like 24 is now just completely and solely about me and my happiness and my mental well-being, and then everything else comes second. Making sure that, you know, I'm achieving my goals and that I'm happy and that I'm enjoying my life. That is first and foremost before anything and anybody. And also continuing to heal my inner child and experience new things like that. That is the mindset that I'm leading into going into, you know, this next year and this next chapter of my life. And so, yeah, you know, again, I try to extend myself grace with me not being exactly where I thought I would be, because again, I thought I would have my apartment. I thought I would be living on my own. So much so that, you know, and I've told the story before about how I looked my mom in the eye and said, hey, I won't be coming back here. Like my last spring break before I graduated college, I literally told her, go ahead and throw away my groceries. Go ahead and start getting rid of stuff because I'm not going to be back. And here I am a year and a half still living at home. Didn't anticipate that. I thought that I would have my full-time job out of college, and I still have yet to have a full-time job at all. The closest that I got was getting a full-time fellowship where I was getting paid like $12 an hour, but still working like 9 to 5 hours, but still never been on a full-time salary. You know, and again, thought I would be in a relationship at this point. I thought that I would have found my life partner and we would have been working towards getting married someday. You know, there are so many things that I thought I would have and I thought that I would be experiencing at this time in my life, things that I thought that I deserved to be experiencing at this point in time in my life. But you know, God had different plans and I just had to be okay with that. And at this point in time, I'm still just trying to find the good in that and still trying to find things to be grateful for in the season that I'm in, and trying not to get too scared or too worried about how long this season is going to be. Because again, I do have my moments. I have my moments where I'm like, okay, how long am I really going to be living at home? How long is it going to be before I'm making a full-time income? Again, whether it's from a job or whether it's from this or my business or whatever it is, you know, when are my finances going to change? You know, will I find, you know, my life partner? Is love for me, or am I meant to just be single for the rest of my life? Those are things that I do think about from time to time, but you know, just trying to push through that, trying to keep a positive mindset and just trying to enjoy where I am in the moment. And you know, I know people say that like, oh, like your 20s are for you, when you know, don't worry about it, you have your whole life to live. And it's like, yes, you have your whole life to live, but also life is short. Let's keep it real. And as easy as it is to just say, oh, well, even if you do find somebody at 40 years old, that's okay. Some people do that. That doesn't necessarily put me at ease. Like the thought of being single for the next like 10 to 20 years is not a comforting thought. And it's like, yes, everyone's on a different timeline, and again, things happen for people at different times in their lives. But for me, it's just like I'm just in a space where it's like I know what I want, and I know the things that I want to experience, and I know the things that I feel like I deserve. And so the fact that I haven't gotten those things yet is just a little frustrating at times. Again, especially when you see people around you hitting your life goals, and it's just like, dang, like. And then it's crazy too, like when you have people that again have full-time jobs, have apartments, and have relationships, they'll tell you like, oh girl, like, you know, don't be in a rush, like take your time, like, you know, having a full-time job is trash, and or you know, having to pay rent is trash, and oh no girl, enjoy your single years, like, you know, don't be in a rush to have to, you know, be in a relationship, have to, you know, consider somebody else. But also it's like there's good and bad in any situation that you're in, like with whatever side you're on, whether it's unemployed or employed, whether you have a house or an apartment or you don't, whether you're single or whether you're in a relationship, there's gonna be pros and cons no matter like which side of the coin you're on. And so for me, it's like I get it, I understand it. I understand that there is things to be enjoyed in, you know, not necessarily having a job right now and not being tied down to anybody right now, but also, you know, even me knowing that it still doesn't take away that desire that I have for those things. And so yeah, I don't know what 2024 has in store. 2023 was literally a roller coaster, literally from the 1st of January when I was in emergency care, had an allergic reaction, had COVID, had all these different, like literally 2023 started off crazy and then it just got crazier and crazier, and it's been all over the place. So I don't know what to expect in 2024, and honestly I don't think I even want to go into it with any specific expectations or specific like goals or anything. I mean, I have things I want to achieve for sure, but again, I just kind of want to let life play out and just see what happens. And so that's just kind of where I'm at with it. But yeah, hopefully this video made sense this go around. This is my second time trying to film this. But yeah, if you guys can relate to anything that I said in regards to, you know, getting older and reaching, you know, the next age in your life and feeling like you're not quite where you thought you would be, or maybe you are, let me know in the comments down below if anything that I said resonated with you. And as always, if you guys enjoyed the video, make sure you guys go ahead, give it a big thumbs up, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys in the next video.